Chapter 29. It was time to make amends. The following evening, John headed over to Randy's for support. 3 yards away, he heard the voluble laughter. All lights were on and the door was open. In that same moment, he noticed the crowd. Randy spotted him. "Well, look who's here. Johnny boy, good to see you." "Oh, you've got company." "Yeah, everyone's here for the fight. I just got cable for it." "Oh," John said. "Well, I can come back later." "Are you kidding? Get in here. I would have told you about this, but after yesterday I thought you weren't. Well, it's good to see you. There are still a few more seats. Go grab one." "Is Tyson fighting?" "Yeah, supposed to be a great match." John hesitated in the doorway. "I think I'll go." "Get some food. It's all in the kitchen." Randy pushed him forward. "Drinks are in the fridge." A solid mass in the form of individual bodies surrounded John. He pushed toward the kitchen and found a vacant spot to stand. "John." "Hi, Jeff. Where you been? Haven't seen you in a while." "Yeah, it's been a while." "So have you heard?" "Heard what?" "Got me a '69 restored Chevy Corvette. 435 horsepower engine, 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗞 automatic transmission, heavy-duty brakes, special front and rear suspension. She's incredible." "Nice," John said. "You have to experience it. She'll change your life." "Great." "Yeah, you just let me know when and I'll hook you up, let you take her out. Once you get behind the wheel, you'll never want to drive your car again." "Okay." "Best thing I've ever done. She's incredible. She brings in the babes. I've had more girls notice me since I bought that car than, maybe ever." "Good for you." "Unbelievable. I'm telling you. You've got to test her out." "Okay." "So how's it been? Heard you got canned. So, are you doing all right?" John took a few steps back. "Yeah. Fine." "Smooth. Well, I've got more people I need to tell about the vet. But remember, when you're up for fast action, you just let me know." "Yeah, okay." John pushed away from the crowd. Not since his early college days had he been part of this kind of social gathering. The apartment's walls seemed to be bursting with people, talking, laughing, hollering, blaring. A few empty chairs filled a corner. He wandered over to his safe haven, a spot where he could eat alone. "Anyone sitting here?" a female voice asked. John looked up and saw the smile, the perfect straight teeth, and the blonde hair that framed her face. His mouth was full of food, so he mumbled something and motioned for her to sit. "Lisa Henley." He swallowed the final bite. "John Sanders." "Who do you know here?" "Randy," John said. "And you? Are you a friend of Lily's?" "No, Tom's my cousin." "Oh. He used to terrorize me, beat me up, but since the scars have disappeared, I've forgiven him." "Tom's violent?" She smiled, showing the perfect teeth. "I'm joking. He gives me grief, but he's like a brother." "Oh." John's ears started to burn. He couldn't talk to anyone, especially not an attractive female. Could she tell that her presence intimidated him? "So are you from here?" she asked. "No, Northern California." "And what brought you down here?" "Work." "And where do you work?" "Work." He was stuck on the question. To stall his answer, he swirled patterns in the dip with a carrot stick. "It's okay," Lisa said. "You don't need to say. Top secret, huh?" She rubbed her hands on her knees. "Well, nice to meet. I was at Clearcreek Mental Care Center. You probably don't know it, but it's right up the mountain, about a half hour from here." "Oh." The perfect smile had returned. "What do you do there?" "Clinical psychologist." "Really? So does that mean you're going to analyze me?" "No, I'm not. Do you enjoy what you do?" "I'm not there anymore," he volunteered. "Oh, you're not?" "No." "Why'd you leave?" John shoved the carrot into his mouth and smiled politely. With each bite, he searched for the correct answer, but the carrot was thoroughly chewed before he had a reply. "Am I getting too personal?" she finally said. No, you're fine." I left due to ethical reasons. Things were happening that I didn't agree with. Like what? I don't know. Nothing big. Probably what most people run into at any job. He looked at her face. The blue eyes seemed to draw him in. Suddenly, John felt awkward. He looked down at his food. Tell me about your work, she said. What was unethical? For some reason, he wanted to talk to her, to share who he was and recount how hard life had been. But the idea was quickly dismissed. Instead, he said, Oh, I'm through it now. Anyway, it's just work stuff. It would bore you. Actually, I'm interested. You really don't want to hear about my work problems? And what if I do? You sure? Enlighten me on the unethical drawbacks of clinical psychology. Honestly, I don't think what happened to me happens everywhere. So what happened? Well, there was a patient who was associated with a politician who makes large donations to the hospital, and so Clearcreek's administration has decided to keep the patient in the facility for as long as possible. Lisa's eyes opened wide. Wow, so fraudulent conduct. What else? I don't know what else to tell you. How long has this been going on? Really, my work's boring. No, I'm interested. She turned toward him and their knees touched. John's hands were sweating. What do you want to know? Anything? You really are interested. I want to get to know you, John. The smile faded and her eyes softened. Maybe I can help you. Help me? He asked. With this situation? I don't think you can. It's rather complicated. Lisa turned away. Randy had caught her attention. He was smiling and flashed her a thumbs-up signal. He didn't, John said. Please tell me Randy didn't send you. He just told me I needed to meet you. Great. What else did he say? That's it. I just met him a few minutes ago and he pointed you out. And he said you were the greatest guy he knows, but that you'd been going through a hard time and might need... Yep, leave it to Randy. He has a whole list of my needs. Seems like a great friend. Sometimes too good a one. Well, John, I do want to help you. Thanks, but I really don't think you can. At least let me try. How? Well, you haven't asked what I do for a living. Oh. I'm sorry. That's something I'm supposed to ask, isn't it? I'm a reporter. For the LA Times. Oh. Randy said you might have a story for me. If you want to share, I'm interested. Cheers and applause broke out through the room. The television blasted at a higher volume. Tense music filled the air. The fight was about to begin. It might be hard to talk in here, John said. Let's go outside. In order to speak above the loud music, she leaned in closer. Her hand brushed against his knee. I didn't really come here to watch the fight. Neither did I. Stop smiling, Randy said the following morning. What? John said and filled his mouth with cereal. You have a grin plastered on your face, Randy said. You look silly. John chuckled. What are you talking about? He avoided Randy's eyes and surveyed his apartment. The place was clean. Everything was restored to order. You know what I'm talking about. You and Tom's cousin. I saw you leave and you never quite made it back, did you? Randy took the box of granola, grabbed a handful, and began munching. So tell me. What? John asked, trying to sound innocent. What's going on? Well, John's smile broke through again. For once, maybe your big mouth benefited me. Hey, all I said to her was that she needed to meet you. I maybe mentioned you had a story, but you did the rest, Johnny boy. I knew you had it in you. The girls are going to start lining up. But still, feel free to thank me. I mean, if it wasn't for me... Well then, she's great, Randy. Randy laughed. You spent all evening talking about your old job, didn't you? She's setting up our interview at Clearcreek next week. You're hopeless. But the grin revealed Randy's approval. No, it's perfect. We're going to give Downley the bad publicity he's always hoped to avoid. She's passionate, like me, about exposing this scandal. Passionate, Randy nodded. Well, all right, Captain Sanders. You and Supergirl go seek justice. We're going to talk to Gravers. Randy hesitated. Both of you? You think that's a good idea? Lisa does. She knows what she's doing. She thinks my presence will help Gravers' memory, remind him of a few facts he shared with me. You sure? Randy scanned the apartment. Right now, you're pulling yourself out of a slump. You go there and it might pull at your memory as well. It might set you back. You said I needed to do something about this, so I am. Lisa will be there. Okay. Randy shrugged. You still have that silly grin on your face. He grabbed another handful of granola. Just don't go dwelling on the past, Johnny boy. Let's keep you looking to the future. You've got great opportunities ahead. On the appointed day, agony, anxiety, and fear entered John's heart. However, Lisa appeared confident. Even as they walked through Clearcreek's grounds, she appeared at ease and focused on the goal ahead. John sought comfort in her self-assurance. Anita's eyes grew wide when she saw John. But other than a simple hello, she offered no questions as she led the two guests towards Dr. Gravers' office. There, they waited for the president's return. Minutes later, Dr. Gravers entered. An unconcealed glare covered his face when he saw John. In that moment of shock, John savored his only personal conquest so far. What are you doing here? Dr. Gravers asked. Who put you in here? He directed the question at John. It's good to see you again. John rose from the chair and stretched out his hand. Dr. Gravers ignored John's hand. What is this? What's going on? This is Lisa Henley, John said, with the LA Times. Yes, we spoke on the phone. Dr. Gravers turned to Lisa and offered a forced, pleasant smile. Then he mumbled, Sanders, why are you here? Lisa. John faked innocence. You didn't tell him I was coming? Should I have? She shrugged lightly. I didn't think it mattered. You offered to come, and I thought... Apparently, John said. She didn't mention that I was her contact. I'm the one who suggested this interview. That's right, Lisa said, keeping her tone professional. It was because of John that I sought you out. I was gripped with fascination when he began telling me about this facility. Otherwise, I would have been completely unaware this place even existed. Dr. Gravers stared at both of them. Shall we sit? Lisa suggested, then rummaged through her bag for her supplies. Dr. Gravers kept his stare on John. He appeared to be deliberating, trying to formulate a solid judgment. Apparently coming up empty, he stepped toward the grand leather chair. Let's get this started. With her notebook in hand, Lisa rolled through some basic questions. Gravers, keeping his eye firmly fixed on John, answered. Then, while keeping her composure, Lisa led into the substance. Yes, and John mentioned that there are a variety of methods used to maintain this facility. There are, Dr. Gravers said. You keep a hold on your operating costs through select insurance coverage, patients' contributions, a few project grants, and donations. Is that correct? We focus on the patient's contributions. Dr. Gravers' body was rigid, but we use a few other sources to help cover our expenses. Lisa continued. John mentioned that Santa Barbara's mayor, Richard Downley, is one of your largest contributors. Tell me about his involvement with the institution. Dr. Gravers pulled back his chair. With his eyes on John, his voice remained calm. Is that what he said? Lisa continued, appearing unaware of or unaffected by any change in his demeanor. You must be grateful for the financial assistance Richard Downley supplies. Is it correct that the large sum arrives on a yearly basis? Dr. Gravers turned to Lisa. I'm not at liberty to discuss the details of what aid we receive in operating this facility. Tell me about the relationship Mayor Downley has with one of the patients here, Lisa asked. We're done here. Gravers rose from his chair. Lisa looked up at him, her face appearing confused. Just a few more questions? You're asking about confidential information. But it's true that he's connected with one of your patients? Would you care to comment on this? Gravers headed to the door. Lisa responded with additional questions. Is it true that Downley was once married to one of your patients?
Miss Henley, stop. I cannot answer these questions.
She shrugged. Then in my article, I'll state you refuse to comment.
No. He held the door wide open. You're asking inappropriate questions.
Well, what can you share in regards to his financial contributions? How do they tie into the mental health care you offer his wife? Once this story goes to press, there will be many who want answers to these questions. Dr. Graver's fist crashed against the door.
Enough. I demand both of you to leave this property. Immediately.
No, John said. In defiance, the two men stared at each other. Answer the question, John said. Gravers returned back to his desk and pounded the intercom button on his phone. Anita,
I need security in my office.
There was no response.
Anita,
Gravers demanded. Her voice broke into the room. I can't. You fired Barry last week. Gravers hit the phone, causing it to bang against his desk.
You will leave. He stared at John.
What are you going to do? John stood. Fire me? Fire Barry? What about her? You can't hold on to her like this. You have to let her go.
You are a disgrace.
Dr. Gravers smirked. His shoulders relaxed. Is that what you think?
You were fired for unethical conduct. Barry's gone for abusing his position. You are the one to blame for all this. Because of you, she's not even here anymore.
What? John struggled to look at the man.
Because of you, damage was done beyond anything we could repair. We've sent her to another facility where an extremely qualified specialist could work with her.
Dr. Gravers took his position back at the door and shook his head.
You've no idea what you've done.
Where is she? John asked.
That is completely confidential information, which you have absolutely no authority in obtaining.
A smile of victory spread across the thin man's face.
And as for you, Miss Henley, your little article that you've hoped to create is of no validity. You have no facts to stand on. The basis of your interrogation is only a hypothesis created by your cohort. His conclusion is false. And as for Mr. Downley, what he chooses to do is entirely up to him. The reasoning behind his actions has no connection with how we stand as an operation. Now, I insist you leave. If you have difficulty finding the exit, I can gladly escort you out.
No, John said. We'll find our own way out of your hell.